the system that never sleeps. While most people sleep, the system keeps moving. Money shifts hands. Credit expands and contracts. Decisions made in silence ripple outward, shaping markets before the morning headlines are written. This matters today because the modern financial system no longer pauses. It does not reset overnight. It does not wait for consensus. It operates continuously, reacting to fear, confidence, and expectation in real time. And when a system never rests, even small signals can grow into powerful forces. To understand how this happened, we need to go back to a time when money moved slower, when transactions were limited by geography, paperwork, and human judgment. Delays created friction. Friction created reflection. And reflection acted as a natural brake on excess. That world faded quietly. Technology accelerated settlement. Markets connected globally. Information moved instantly. What once took days now took seconds. The system gained efficiency, but it also lost pause. Decision-making compressed. Reaction replaced deliberation. At first, this felt like progress. Faster markets meant more opportunity. Continuous pricing meant better information. Liquidity flowed more freely. The system appeared smarter, more responsive, more alive. It could absorb shocks quickly and reallocate resources with speed. But something subtle changed beneath that speed. When markets never close, pressure never fully releases. Stress is redistributed instead of resolved. Imbalances are carried forward rather than corrected overnight. The system remains active even when understanding lags behind movement. The reveal begins here. A system that never sleeps also never forgets. Every signal lingers. Every reaction feeds the next. Momentum builds not just from fundamentals, but from anticipation of anticipation. Action compounds upon itself. Participants adapted quickly. Institutions staffed desks around the clock. Algorithms replaced human hesitation. Decisions became automated, triggered by thresholds rather than judgment. The system stopped waiting for people. And when people stopped being the pace setters, the system began setting the pace for them. This was not a collapse. It was an evolution, one that made money faster, smarter, and more powerful, but also more sensitive, more reactive, less forgiving of delay. The system that never sleeps does not drift into danger suddenly. It accelerates toward it quietly. As continuous motion became the norm, behavior across the system adjusted to match its pace. Waiting lost value. Hesitation became costly. Decisions were rewarded not for patience, but for speed. Those who moved first shaped outcomes for everyone else. Institutions reorganized around this reality. Risk models updated constantly. Positions were adjusted intraday, sometimes by the minute. Human oversight narrowed as automation expanded. The system learned to respond faster than people could comfortably think. Markets reflected this shift immediately. Price movements grew sharper. Reversals happened quickly. Signals that once took days to form now appeared in seconds and vanished just as fast. Volatility did not disappear. It fragmented, arriving in bursts rather than waves. The reveal deepened here. When a system never sleeps, it never fully digests information. Reactions stack on top of reactions. Feedback loops tighten. Small inputs can trigger oversized responses because there is no pause to reassess meaning. This changed how risk felt. Exposure was no longer about holding positions overnight. It was about milliseconds, about latency, about whether systems reacted before others could. Advantage shifted from insight to execution. The early conflict took shape quietly. Speed increased efficiency, but it also reduced forgiveness. Errors propagated instantly. Corrections arrived abruptly. There was less time to absorb surprise, less space to slow momentum once it began. Participants sensed the tension. Everything worked until it didn't. The system handled normal conditions brilliantly, but under stress, acceleration amplified instability. Movements fed on themselves faster than intervention could respond. The system that never sleeps had gained power through constant motion. But constant motion also meant constant exposure. And exposure, without pause, changes the nature of stability itself. The conflict emerged when the system encountered moments that required judgment rather than reaction. not sudden shocks, but ambiguous signals. Information that was incomplete, events that needed interpretation. And in a system optimized for speed, interpretation became the bottleneck. Algorithms reacted instantly, but without context. Humans hesitated, aware that acting too slowly carried cost. The result was fragmentation. Some parts of the system moved aggressively. Others paused. Feedback loops intensified as machines responded to machines, amplifying momentum without understanding direction. This was the emotional peak. Not panic, but loss of control. The realization that speed had outgrown comprehension, that the system could move faster than anyone could explain why it was moving at all. Markets reflected this instability sharply. Sudden spikes appeared without clear cause. Liquidity vanished and reappeared in moments. Prices overshot, corrected, then overshot again. The system was active, but not necessarily informed. Institutions struggled to intervene effectively. By the time a response was considered, the moment had already passed. Controls designed for slower environments lagged behind real-time dynamics. The system was no longer waiting for oversight. This exposed the core tension. Continuous motion creates efficiency under clarity, but fragility under ambiguity. When meaning lags behind movement, reaction replaces reasoning. The system does not pause to ask whether a signal matters. It simply responds. Pressure built as participants recognize a risk. Speed was no longer just advantage. It was vulnerability. The faster the system moved, the harder it became to slow it down when direction was unclear. The buildup was complete. A system that never sleeps had become a system that rarely reflects. And without reflection, even intelligence can become dangerous. The resolution did not come from slowing the system down completely. That was no longer possible. Instead, it came from learning where speed belonged and where it did not. The climax arrived with a clear realization. Not every decision benefits from immediacy. Not every signal demands reaction. Stability in a system that never sleeps depends on creating moments of restraint inside continuous motion, places where judgment can re-enter before momentum takes over. In response, new boundaries emerged. Circuit breakers interrupted runaway moves. Oversight focused on behavior rather than just outcomes. Human review was reintroduced where automation proved blind. The system learned to pause selectively without shutting down entirely. The resolution reshaped understanding of resilience. Stability was no longer defined by constant activity, but by the ability to absorb ambiguity without spiraling. Speed remained powerful, but it was no longer treated as inherently superior to patience. What endured was a crucial lesson. A system that never sleeps must learn how to rest internally, not by stopping, but by knowing when not to react. Reflection became the new form of control, because motion without meaning creates noise, and noise, when amplified at scale, becomes risk. The system that never sleeps will continue to move faster than ever before. The question is whether it can also learn when to slow itself before speed becomes the next source of instability. Subscribe to join the journey.